This is the reason we come to Gigantica. 56 pounds of mirror carp that Danny Turley, aka Le Grand Fromage, has managed to extract out the stock pond swim last night. Only 55 to 60 yards out, and he caught it on a rig that both the bailiffs use here. 3 20mm boilies on the hair and a running inline, heavy running inline, slack line, and that's how they nail them, 3 20mm. So if you're a boilie angler and you're normally just putting one on the end, try putting 3 20mm bottom baits on and see how you go. Right, let's do some pictures.
For me, the mark of a truly great product is one that stands the test of time. Even with all the other great releases such as the dark matter tubing and the cable leg core, I still find myself returning to my faithful Safezone leaders. Even on the most recent underwater filming trip on St John's in part 8, I used them effectively on the bottom and I absolutely loved the way they looked on the deck. They still are supremely camouflaged and you just can't beat them for ease of use and versatility. So this is one of my favourite ones. This is actually the hybrid leg clip version. You'll notice there it's just nicely fused on. You don't actually need to do anything. You don't need to add a leg clip. It all comes complete. All you have to do is quite simply just tie a nice Palomar knot to this end, the loop on the end there. Now, talking about when to use the actual leg clip, I like to use the hybrid leg clip Safezone leader when I'm fishing at range and I want a streamlined setup that can cast a long way. It's aerodynamic. And onto the actual lead discharge element of it, depending on whether you want to discharge the lead in heavy weed, then just push it over a couple of teeth there and that will help really efficiently discharge the lead. And if you want to keep the lead on, you're fishing open water, just quite simply push it down a little further and that will keep that lead on for a protracted fight. Right, onto the next system. This one was born during the underwater filming. It incorporates the ring swivel Safezone leader, and the first thing I've done was actually cut the ring of the ring swivel off and instead just pushed over an anti-tangle sleeve. I love the way that just kicks away from the lead system and it also aids presentation. You know, I really felt on that gravelly bottom it helped coil the rig in a cocked position and really helped trip up a few wily carp. So when would you use the inline system over something else? When you're fishing on clean gravel. Also you've got to remember this one is a running inline and it's just kept in position with a shock bead up here. That's just pushed over, that's a 4mm bead pushed over one of the tungsten collars, the first one. So as the fish picks the rig up, it goes away and just hits that final bead and that just gives them an extra problem that they're not used to dealing with. And I'd use that normally in clear conditions, not really in weedy ones because I want the lead to come off during the fight. Once again, you've got that excellent fused loop at the end and a Palomar knot to that. And don't worry if you ever cut into that outer coating. Within that is a 30-pound monofilament and that's what gives it all its strength and durability. And they are absolutely brilliant. I've used them for years. I don't trust anything more than I do a Safezone leader. They're still my #1 choice. Now, I'm going to hand you over to Dan. He's going to show you how he likes to use his Safezone leaders.
My first tip for when you're using Safezone leaders is that little fella. A lot of people complain, I can't get them perfectly straight. All we have to do, boil a kettle, take the lid off while the water's still red hot, drop the Safezone leader straight out the packet into the kettle, pull it out and it will be perfectly straight. And look at these fellas. Look at that, how lovely and limp that is. Absolutely perfect. Now, this is the first one that I'm going to use and it's basically just on one of our standard lead clips. This is the Revamped lead clip, so you've got a new arm on there which makes the lead come off that little bit easier if you want it to. If you push the rubber right on like that, then the lead will only ever come off if it hits something really solid. So you can play 20 fish in open water and the lead will not come off. The real important bit is pulling the swivel in. So I'm just going to hold the lead clip now and then position the ring swivel that's on the end of the leader in there and just pull it until it clicks like that. It must click. That means it's the inside eye is behind a little ridge inside and it will stop the swivel pulling back out. And you can see on the front there what I've done is snip the ring of the ring swivel off and put one of our quick links on so I can attach a hook link. So let's put the hook link on now. Got a crimped up hook link. This is the hybrid stiff. I'm just going to wet that. Just put a little bit of 3mm silicone over the top. That is such a lovely, neat system. And that's the thing I like most about the Safezone leaders. They are so neat and tidy. There's so little to go wrong with them, and they are so versatile. So this is the rig that I'd use if it was weedy and I wanted the lead to come off, or if I'm casting a long way. A distance lead like that is always going to cast further than an inline lead. And with one of those stiff hook links on there, you're going to get absolutely no tangles at all. And having that hinge there, you can see on the front of the lead clip, that is what stops it all tangling. The two lay next to each other in flight and you don't get any tangles. Now, if we're fishing in open water, then I'm still going to use one of the new lead clips, but I don't know if you can see there, what I've done is I've snipped the swivel off the end of the Safezone leader, I've replaced it with a quick link, and then I've squeezed the lead clip so it's oval. So when that pulls in there, it just pulls in under the tiniest amount of tension. And I've clipped the hook link on, no need for any silicone there, and you've just got a nice big eye at the front of the lead clip to allow that pivot in again, so that stops your tangles. So when the fish picks the lead up, you can see there it is supporting the weight of the lead, but if I shake that, straight away that's coming away. So imagine out in a fishing situation, fish picks it up, feels there's something wrong, shakes its head as they always do. We've seen it on the underwater films a million times. Then what happens, the lead slides away, slides down the leader, and the fish just can't get away from the lead. And then you've got them. As soon as they start moving and they can't get away from it, you've got them, and then they're off. So in situations like this where it's quite weedy, I probably wouldn't use that now. That used to be my favourite rig on Gigantica, but because of the weed now, I've stopped using it. But anywhere that I fish where it's lovely and clear on the bottom and you're not going to get the fish weeded up, that is my #1 setup, the lead clip that turns into a running rig. And then the last usage I've got for the Safezone leaders is again one that I've converted. What I've basically done is cut the ring swivel off the end of the Safezone leader, and then I've replaced it with a quick link. Lead's gone on the end this time, so obviously those of you in the know will know this is a helicopter rig setup. And then I've just used one of these heli sleeves over the top of that to neaten that up. That is so neat and tidy. And if I stretch the whole thing out, you'll see it is the classic chod rig setup. So we've still got the 2 bits of tungsten on the Safezone leader. They're welded on there. So that's going to hold it all flat down on the bottom. That's something that no one else is able to do with this type of product. We've got an exclusive on that one. So you know they're going to sit on the bottom really well. They're perfectly camouflaged. And what I've done on the end of it, I've incorporated those no trace beads. So these are the beads that would normally fit on a bit of lead core. So basically you wet the end of the Safezone leader, slide the sleeve over that and slide it down the Safezone leader, that's that tapered sleeve, and then the no trace bead fits on top of it. So basically when I cast out, the lead's obviously sailing out there, your little tiny chod rig sits up against that bead, and then if I can show you what happens, if the line unfortunately snaps, let's just get that there, I'll just pull that up against there, and the bead actually comes off and the rig comes straight off the end of the line. So super safe. There is no safer way to set up any kind of helicopter rig, including a chod rig, than with one of those no trace beads. And the ones that fit on the lead core fit on these leaders perfectly. The last thing about the leaders, they are super tough. You can leave them on the rod forever and they just stay lovely and straight, and you can get one of these and rub it up and down a rock, literally backwards and forwards, and it will not break. If you do the same thing with lead core or normal mono, it will break almost straight away because they haven't got good abrasion resistance. These things are virtually indestructible.